Hello and welcome to a slightly unusual coin hunt this time, because I'm going to be looking at some sterling silver crowns that someone has sent me in the post. Basically, they don't know, there's about 1 kilogram in here. Basically, they don't know how many of them are real and how many are fake, and they asked me to find out for them. So I've got about 10 different ways I'm going to go through to try and work that out. First thing is probably a good start is to look at some real ones. So here's a 1890 crown. It's quite nice. So that's got this is the Queen Victoria II portrait, and it's in medal orientation. So when you flip it that way, you would expect it to still be the right way up. So this is what I call the veiled Jubilee head obverse. And the Latin on there basically translates to Victoria by the grace of God, Queen of the Britons, and then finally Defender of the Faith there. And these coins have a milled or reeded edge. So that was basically to stop people clipping the edge of coins, because in the old days people would snip the edges off of coins, and if you do it in a neat fashion, you still end up with a round coin, which means you can still use it, but you've got those bonus bits of metal for free, which you can melt down and possibly make fake coins with. This next one, this is a 1900 crown. So this is Victoria's third portrait, the crowned and veiled head. And again, that's medal orientation. You'll notice it's got a few extra words on that one. So it basically says the same thing. Victoria by the grace of God, Queen of the Britons, Defender of the Faith. And then at the bottom, this part means Empress of India. And again, it's a bit beaten up, but what do you expect for a coin that's over 100 years old? The security feature on this one is an edge inscription. It's going to be, I can't really read that very clearly, but it should say, it's Latin for an ornament and a safeguard, and it should also say how many years she's been reigning for. Now if we look at this one's proper old. It's very nice, but very worn. This kind of design will be in coin alignment, so we actually have to flip it this way to see the obverse the right way up. As you can see, it's super worn, but you can just about make out the date there, 1819. So this is King George III, and on the other side, if I turn it the right way up, that's the St. George slaying the dragon, and that's for design by Benedetto Pastrucci. He designed that in 1817, and again there should be there's an edge inscription on this one, and it means the same as the one from 1900, an ornament and a safeguard, and how many years he's been reigning for. But that's pretty cool from 1819. Super worn though. Right, I'm going to try and keep all the real ones over here. Actually, in fact, as these ones are mine, I'm going to put them totally off to the side for now. Right, so let's get stuck into this then. Try not to chop my fingers off. Okay, so I guess they were probably in that bag, but have fallen out. Oh, that one. That says, I think they are real. So all of the ones that were helpfully sorted into a bag of real coins, I've just dropped all over the place. So, okay, let's put those over here anyway. So these ones are possibly real. Let's get them all the same way around. Right. And these ones are likely copies. Ooh, they even sound different, don't they? I'm not sure what this one is. This is... Ooh, that's like a 1951 crown. Ooh, hang on a minute. Okay. Interesting, it's a very crisp edge. Okay, I'll leave that one at the top. Okay, so first off, this one's very interesting. I'll get it out of the capsule. Okay, so this looks like a Gothic Crown. They are pretty rare and expensive, so I'm expecting this to be totally fake, this one. So let's turn it over. Oh, okay, so it's the right way up at least. You would expect it to be this way up. So only 8,000 of these were made in 1847, I think. And this coin was not included in the demonetization legislation when decimalization was introduced in 1971. Oops, I keep doing that. And it's been confirmed by the Royal Mint that this coin remains legal tender, having been remonetized with a value of 25 pence. However, if you've got a real one of these, you don't want to be spending it for its 25p face value, because this would probably be worth close to £10,000. So I'm going to hazard a guess to say that this is fake straight away. But we'll come back to that. Right, so what have we got here? We've got that's a modern, well, a newer crown. 19. Let's zoom in a little bit. 1934. Okay, so that will be 50% silver likely. So we'll put that in a separate pile there. This one is oop. Good Lord, what's going on with this one? Well, it says 1845. There's no way that's that old. It looks super fake. 1933. So that, ooh, hang on a minute. So that could be half silver. We'll come back to it. Okay, here we have another Gothic crown, believe it or not. So we're lucky. So we've found £20,000 worth of coins so far. That's lucky of us. Let's turn it over. And okay, so that is very clearly a fake just by looking at it, because this is the correct orientation for the reverse of the coin with the harp on the left here. And so whether you were to turn it that way or even that way, at least one of those should be the right way up. It's got coin alignment, this one, the real coin. So you should better see the queen the right way up if you do that. And as you can't, that one is blatantly fake. So we will put that down here in the corner in our clearly fake pile. 1897, this one. Bit of a funny colour going on there. Needs more investigation. We'll come back to that one. So we'll put that there in a sterling pile. What year was that one again? 1845. We'll put that in a sterling pile as well. Oh, here's a very iffy looking Gothic crown. It just doesn't look right, even without turning it over. So we've got the harp on that side, and as we turn it over, it's the wrong way up. If you turn it like that, because it should have coin alignment, the queen should be right way up. So that one's clearly fake. We'll put that on our definitely fake pile. What else have we got? 1898. Just doesn't feel right or look the right colour, so we'll put that in our suspect pile. Again, suspicious. It looks a bit like the other one we already seen. 1931 crown. Who knows? Put that in the 50% pile. Here we have a similar one, 1930. This one. Pop that down. 1844. It's in very good condition, isn't it? Suspiciously good condition. Pop that there. 1928. So it's post 1920. So you'd expect this one to be 50% silver if it's real. So I'll put that there. 1929. So again, if that's real, you'd expect it to be 50% silver. 1932. Again, 50% possibly. That's a very weird mark. I have no idea what that is. Now, it does not look like an 1839 crown at all, does it? Interestingly. So that's I'll go on that pile. Another more modern. 1927 for that one. So that would be half silver. And then 1936. So again, that would be half silver. So let's just double check what I've got here because I've forgotten what piles I've got. So these are all the ones that could be 50% silver. This one is a Gothic Crown, purportedly. You know, we could be sitting on £10,000 here if we're lucky. I suspect not, though. I'll put that there, though, so we can have a look at it in a minute. And then these ones down the bottom. Well, these are definitely both fake. So, zoom back up. Right, so this one. So that's post 1947, so there won't be any silver content in this one anyway. It will be made of what's called cupro-nickel, so it's basically copper predominantly, and then nickel making up the remaining proportion. But they sometimes put other stuff in there, like a bit of manganese. It just makes it harder wearing. But zero silver content in that one, so I'm just going to shove that off to the back. Not interested. So let's take these half silver ones and put those off to the back as well, because all I'm really focusing on is the sterling silver stuff for this one. So here's a pile of possibly sterling silver. These were definitely fake, weren't they? So we'll pop those off to the side as well. Right, so the easiest way to spot a fake is using magnets. Now, I'm not saying magnets are going to be suitable for telling you whether a coin is real or not, but they're certainly very good for telling you when a coin definitely isn't real. So, I mean, the beauty of it is if you've got magnets like these, they're super strong. These are rare earth magnets, so they're pretty strong. Oop. So if any of these were attracted to a magnet, they'd be jumping up like anything right now. So none of those are attracted to a magnet, so that's cool. Now let's just double check those with the magnet. Nothing is magnetic, so that's good. So that bodes well for these possibly real ones. So the next test I'll try is well, actually we've already done one test, and that was the alignment check, where we were just checking for coin versus medal alignment. That's what allowed us to discard the dubious, very dubious Gothic crowns, which were the wrong way up when you turn them over. So that's two tests done. The third test, we kind of did it along the way, and that was basically looking at them for obvious flaws, whether they've got wrong font or poor design or poor edge inscription. So I'm going to be careful and keep all these candidates over this side. So my friend reckons these are fake and these ones are real. So let's keep the possibly real ones on this side and we'll have a look at those close up. So zoom in a smidgen. Let's have some focus. There we go. 1896. So this should have the Victoria third portrait on the other side. It does, so that's a good a good start. Gosh, that is very beaten up. And it's got an edge inscription, so nothing immediately obviously suspicious about that one. So we pop that back. Right, what we got next? 1897. So again, that should be Victoria's third portrait, and it is, it's the right way up. It's got an edge inscription. Okay, 1935 crown, that should be half silver. It looks okay-ish. I'm not too interested in half silver, so we'll set that aside. 1890, so we should have the second portrait on the other side of this one, and we do. Looks plausible. Reeded edge. Ooh, this is good. This is the, it should have King George III on the other side of it, and it should be the right way up if we go this way. So that checks out. 1820 is the date on that one, so that's pretty cool. And it has the edge inscription you'd expect. There's another one. Bit beaten up, but yeah, that edge inscription too, that looks plausible. And then 1895, so that's going to be the third portrait and with an edge inscription. Yep. And then 1892, so that should still be the second portrait on this one. Yeah, and with the reeded edge that you'd expect. And then finally, 1821, so that's, who's on that one? Is that George III as well? I think so, I'm not sure, might be after. Anyway, it looks all right. So, what can we try next then? We tried a plain magnet, but what I'm going to do now, I'll zoom back out, is a magnet slide test. So some people are proponents of literally sliding a magnet down a coin. I don't know if you can really tell what's going on there, but it doesn't quite free fall down the face of the coin. It sort of glides slowly. But because there's not a lot of room to play with on these coins, it's not very meaningful. Just had one more idea for something we can check, and that is the other properties of the coin. So if you got some digital calipers like these, let's turn them on and then reset. Right, if you measure one of these, let's pick a less damaged one. Right, if you then close that, this one measures 38.67 millimeters. Let's try it from a different place. 38.74, 38.71. Okay, so these are very good readings because since 1816, I think, all crowns have been of the same diameter, and it should be 38.61. So let's pick this really old one. It's a bit undersized, that one. Could be a cause for concern. I'm not sure. Let's try another one. Let's try to focus on it as well. 38.65. Let's try a different angle. 38.69. Okay, so that one sounds okay. So they should be 38.61 millimeters in diameter, give or take. For some of the older ones, it's reasonable to expect them to wear slightly. The other thing is the weight should be fairly consistent amongst them all. We'll come on to that next. So basically, this thing I've made here is what I call a magnet slide. So when you look at underneath here, it's basically lots of very strong rare earth magnets, super glued onto a piece of wood. It's just been screwed together like that. And I've put this piece of paper over the top, so when we slide stuff down it, it doesn't get damaged. So let's see what we can expect. Let's take one of our known genuine crowns from the side and see how that fares. So if I line it up like this and then slide it down. Crazy, huh? It like glides down super slowly, even though this is practically vertical now. It goes slowly. So as this goes over the magnets, it induces induces its own magnetic field or something like that. I'm not exactly sure how it works. But if it goes down slowly, that's a good sign that there's silver in there. Put that one off to the side. Let's try this possibly fake Gothic crown. So this should, if it's real, be made of the same kind of silver. It goes down slowly, so that's promising. Maybe we are sitting on £10,000 there. Let's try these other ones. A bit fast, but unsure. Well, so far nothing's hurtling down here, so I'm not like mega concerned yet. Let's try, for comparison, a modern 50p coin. See, that just hurtles down there. So you can tell that's not made of silver. However, a lot of people love this magnet test without really understanding the limitations of it. So let's say, for instance, we have this, which is a pure copper bar, 1 troy ounce in weight. Very shiny until I put my fingerprints on it just then. There you go, let's get some more on there. Right, now, this has no silver in it whatsoever. However, look what happens on the magnet slide test. It also goes down slowly. Whoop, there we go. Right, so magnet slide test, not very useful. However, it can be useful for identifying obvious fakes. Let's try these real ones quickly. That's fine. I think if anything, these are definitely going down slightly slower than the probable fakes. Yep. Yep. It's funny, even when you try and push them off the end, you can feel the resistance. Yep. And the final one. Yep. Okay, let's try, for sake of argument, the what's going on with the camera focus here? So that 1955 one much slower, but then that could just be because it's made of cupro nickel, which is mainly copper. Okay, so what next? Let's just measure the weight of everything. So, so regardless of whether these are made of silver or other things, the there we go, focus. The weight of these should always be the same. It should be 28.28 grams, which is precisely 10/11ths of a troy ounce. So remember, these ones, if they're real, should be 92.5% silver and 7.5% copper, because that's what sterling silver is. The reason they alloy it with copper is to make it harder wearing, because if these were just pure silver, they would be much more easily dented, but more importantly, they'd be much easier to clip the edges off as well. And then, yeah, from 1920, they turned into these possibly 50% silver things, which we're ignoring for now. So let's get some scales going. So remember, the target weight we're looking for is, was it 28.8 grams? So let's see how these fare. 27.0, okay. Now, you might think that's a slight cause for concern. However, look at this, it's an 1821 crown. It's super old, and look how worn it is. That face as well, blimey. It's very worn. Feels very smooth here as well. Does have the edge inscription, so yeah, make of that what you will. A lot has been worn off that, basically. I think it's feasible for a gram to have come off of that, so not going to be immediately concerned about that. Let's try another one. Ooh, turn the scales off. There you go. Right. 28.1, that's good. Slightly under, but you'd expect that from old coins that are worn. 28.2. Remember, 28.28 is what we should weigh. Again, that one's slightly under, but it's very old. Look how worn that is. And then 28.1. 28.2, 28.0. So that pile could still be real. Let's now look at the pile over here, which is possibly fake. Let's reset the scales. These are not the most accurate scales, but they're sufficient for this purpose. That's good. That's possibly slightly over, but we'll see what happens. 23.9. Okay, so remember, that's our potentially fake Gothic Crown, which we were hoping would be worth £10,000. So I'm sad to say that due to its weight, that's definitely fake. So off to a fake pile with you. Damn. That's okay. 28.4. Slightly heavy. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt though. That's okay. Iffy. And that's okay. Okay, so these fake ones are reasonable. Now here's a couple that the chap actually sent me previously. He sold them to me, so I'm going to see what's going on with these. 27.1, that is quite low, and also it doesn't look anywhere near worn enough to be that light. There's no way a gram of coin has come off of that one, so I'm pretty sure that's fake, but I'll give it the benefit of the doubt, and we'll do some other checks on that one. There was another coin he gave me, but that was only 20 grams. So that's definitely fake. Right, so what's next then? Everything's kind of past that weight test, so let's do... I won't do this on all of them, but I'll try a density test. See what happens here. Right, okay, so just have a drink of water. That's better, right. And then we'll weigh that water, and then we will tear the scales, basically setting that to 0. And here's something I prepared earlier. So here is one of the here's another suspect crown I have. 1887, this one. It looks, yeah, It just looks too good to be true, doesn't it? It's in very good condition. Now you'll notice I've tied a very thin thread around it. What would be even better than this is if you could tie something even thinner and lighter around it, like a long human hair, but my hair's not long enough for that. And then what you do is we turn the scales back on again. There we go. And then we dunk it in the water, basically. So you put it in far enough for it to be fully submerged, but you have to make sure you don't suspend it on the touch. Make sure you don't touch the bottom. Suspend it from the bottom, I mean. That means what we're now weighing, this 2.8 grams, is the weight of the water that this coin is displacing. We're not weighing the coin, we're weighing the amount of water it's displacing. So we can take that out now. Drip, drip. Okay, let's move the water out of the way as well. So what was that? That was 2.8 grams. So I've got written down here, zoom in a smidge. So this is the density of copper, silver and brass. So if it's sterling silver, you'd expect it to have a density slightly under 10.49 grams per cubic centimetre, because remember 7.5% of it would be made up of copper anyway. So what have we got? We've got 2.8 grams of water displaced. So that means the amount of water it displaces is 2.8 millilitres. And that means it's also 2.8 centimetres cubed. So we're taking advantage of the fact that we know the density of water. So 2.8 grams of water is going to take up 2.8 cubic centimetres. So the density of the coin then is equal to the mass of the coin. Ooh, that's a good point. We need to actually weigh the coin now, don't we? Let's try these different scales for this one. Let me just dry the water off it. Okay, so that's the bare coin. So 21.77. So 21.77 grams for the coin. Okay. So the density will be the mass of the coin, 21.77, divided by the volume it took up, which is 2.8. So, excuse me while I use a computer to work this out. So that actually gives you a density of 7.775 grams per cubic centimetre. Now that value is far too low for it to be sterling silver. It's even too low for it to be pure copper. So yeah, so that's definitely fake. Right then. So I'm not going to do that for all the coins, and I must remember not to drink that water now, because it's probably full of some weird metallic chemical that isn't copper or silver. Now, a sound test is something some people like to do. So if we take a coin like this one, this is one of the probably real coins. If we drop that on a table, it sounds like that. If we then take one of these, most likely fake ones, definitely has a different sound about it. So that's something else that you can use to try and work out whether or not a coin is real. I mean, don't rely on that alone, obviously, much like I wouldn't recommend relying on any of these things on their own. There's also a thing called a ping test. So if you have a phone that you can install apps on, one of the things you can do is hold a coin like that and then tap it. I'll do this near the microphone. So genuine silver, certainly pure silver, and to a large extent sterling silver, has a really nice long high-pitched ding to it. That's fantastic, actually. So that's promising for those. Let's try these ones. Ooh, high-pitched again, but that is a very different pitch. Let's try ringing this one. That falls short. It ends a lot quicker. That's suspicious. Okay, anyway, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt for now. Because quite frankly, I don't have enough experience with crowns to rule anything out by sound alone. So next up, we've got this thing, which is usually the pièce de résistance. This is what's called a Sigma Verifier machine. A lot of people seem to think that it's capable of telling you whether something is pure gold or pure silver or other metals. However, all it actually does is measure the resistivity of the metal, and it'll tell you whether it's within a range for what you're actually looking for. So you need to actually tell this machine what you're looking for in advance. So just to give it a quick test, I've got this coin, which is a pure silver coin from the Royal Mint. It's a 1 ounce, £2 coin. And as it says here, it's made of 999 silver. So that's the purity of it. So we change the device to, oh no, wrong way. We set it to look for 999 silver and then calibrate it. And then we place the sample on the dot here. Notice you don't need to even take it out of the capsule, which is kind of neat. And what happens is the box in the middle there ends up falling right inside the brackets. So that's great. That means it's most likely pure silver. Or is it? Basically, it doesn't tell you it's pure silver. It tells you it's got the same resistivity as silver. So this thing can also measure sterling silver. So what we can then do is stick these on. And you'll notice that one's quite far out. However, if it was really far out, there'd be an arrow on this edge telling you it's far off the scale. But the instructions to this thing basically tell you that if it's outside the brackets or slightly outside the brackets, then you need to investigate further. And that's what all the other tests have basically been doing. However, this coin, remember, it's very old, 1895. The standards for making metal back then were not quite as consistent as they are now. So it's not unlikely for sterling silver back then to contain impurities that aren't present in modern coins, or for the ratios to be slightly messed up. So that's not really cause to rule this one out. Let me quickly go through these 3 coins, which we looked at the start. These are definitely real. One of them's in range, so that's kind of what you'd expect. That one is also in range, just about. And then this really old one from 1819 appears there. And again, that's possibly just because the sterling silver standards back then weren't so great. And I found that in practice, if you change the settings to look for 90% silver, that's usually a more accurate way of detecting or verifying the authenticity of these older crowns. So let's go back to 92%. So these ones to the right of the device are the ones which we are going to have a look at. Oh, need to calibrate it first. Okay, again, that's off, but I think that's acceptable. Acceptable. Just about acceptable. This is an old one. Again, acceptable. Again, acceptable, probably. Okay, that one's well out. So I'll come back to that one. That one is also well out. Interesting. And that one is well out too. So these three, let's just quickly try those on the 90% silver setting, see what happens. That's in range, that's in range, that one's in range. So it could be that they were only just slightly off the scale. So that really shows you the limitations of the Sigma device for checking things like old coins. Because remember, it's not actually trying to work out if there's 92.5% silver in these coins. It's actually just working out the resistivity of the metal. If the remaining 7.5% of this coin is made up of copper and something else that shouldn't be in there, that can throw the resistivity quite off without actually affecting the silver content. So this is great for checking pure silver, not so great for checking sterling silver. However, it is useful for ruling out stuff, absolutely. So let's go back to sterling mode again. Try these ones. That's well out. That's well out. That's well out. Now remember these ones on the left are the ones that my friend thought were fake anyway. So you kind of expect them to go off like that. Okay, so just to check then, if I set that to 90% silver, if any of these are real, they could still be in range here. Ooh. I mean, you'd kind of expect it to be in the middle still by here, so I'm going to hazard a guess that this one is fake. Not least because it looks in just suspiciously good condition for such a purportedly old coin. So yeah, we're gonna cast that one away. Let's try some others. Again, that's probably similar. That. Yeah. So all these coins that he reckoned were fake most likely are. And remember, they'd passed, or at least done reasonably well in some of the earlier tests, like the weight test. So these Sigma machines still have their uses. Basically, everything we've done so far has been great for dismissing coins as genuine. So we've ruled a lot of coins out because we know they're fakes, because they're not the right weight, they don't have the right resistivity, and we've got a few coins left which most likely are sterling silver. So let's see what else we can do. So the next thing is the 10th type of test. Before I do that, let's turn this back on again. Just want to show you something else quickly. Zoom in. So let's calibrate. And then go down to sterling silver again. So remember that copper bar we had? This is made of pure copper. So what do you expect it to do when you're looking for sterling silver on this machine? Holy moly. According to this machine, if you believe it with blind faith, then this is pure 95 sterling silver. But it clearly isn't, because it's copper. It says it's copper, and it wasn't very expensive. On the other hand, if you were looking for pure silver, it definitely wouldn't look like pure silver on the machine. So if you bought a fake bar, if you bought a fake silver bar, which was actually a copper bar inside with silver plating, then this machine would show it up. Okay, so what else can we do? Yeah, to go any further, you have to get a bit destructive, unfortunately. So this is what we call the acid test. So there's 2 little bottles in here. One is for silver. In fact, it's for testing 925 sterling silver. I've got some instructions, which are always worth reading, especially when you're messing around with acids. So this is the acid test stone, blah, blah, blah. Rub the test subject onto stone and apply testing solution directly onto the stone. It's a great way to test without marking the subject. Well, you have to rub it on the stone, which is obviously going to be slightly destructive. So, if we get a dark red response, then that means it's sterling silver. And these other things would suggest the presence of other stuff. So let's give it a go then. So I'll get some kitchen roll out first, just in case I have a spectacular accident with acid. Right. So basically you've just got this black stone, which we're going to rub the coin on, and then you put a little blob of this onto it. So let's zoom in slightly. This could go very wrong. Okay, let's pick a coin. Let's pick this one, because this one was like super underweight, possibly because of all the wear it's had, and it's quite old. The edge inscription is there, so that's promising. Now, as it's so old and worn, it's not such an issue if we rub a little bit onto here. So let's do that. Now, you don't even need to rub very hard at all, and the stuff just flies off. So now let's give that a little shake. See what happens when we pop this on. Right. Okay, so it looks like it's changing colour already. It's going dark. Let's get another piece of tissue just to pick that back off and see what colour it's gone. Okay, it's kind of gone, I mean, I'd call that brown. It's definitely changed colour. And so the instructions suggest you're looking for dark red if it's 925 silver. And by Jove, I think that's a positive test then. So that means this coin, which we just rubbed on the thing, is 925 silver. Sterling silver, in other words. I mean, the obvious issue with this kind of test is that if the coin were plated with silver and you rubbed the plating onto this, it could give you a false positive test. But if you rub hard enough, I guess you'd get through the silver plating layer, and then the other stuff would come through as well. Okay, so I think that's... Oh yeah, there is an 11th method, but I'm not going to go there because it's very expensive. There's things called XRF testers. I think it's X-ray fluorescence. They cost about £20,000, so I'm not going to get one just for this. And the Sigma machine I borrowed anyway. So, and you also have to pay for like regular maintenance of them and calibration and whatnot. But they're very good for telling you exactly what is in a coin. It would give you a reasonable indication of the actual percentage of silver that's in it. It will tell you how much copper's in it. It would also tell you what other kind of metals might be present, which could be interesting on these older ones actually. So finally, it's worth pointing out that all of these crowns, and these ones I'm reasonably convinced are real now, all of these crowns have a face value today of 25 pence. These, despite their age, are actually legal tender in the UK. But that doesn't mean you can just rock up to a shop and spend these things. For starters, most shopkeepers probably won't know, what they even are, let alone how much they're supposed to be worth. So most shopkeepers would probably just refuse to accept these, even though that's pretty daft when you consider they contain quite a lot of silver, which is worth far more than the 25p face value. Let's go back out. Okay, so let's move that aside. Managed to do that without getting acid all over myself, so that's pretty cool. So these are the three that I started off with. So really, I think the moral of this story is, don't use any one test to tell you whether or not a coin is real. Only use them to determine whether something is definitely fake. Combining all 10 tests makes me reasonably sure that these ones I've got here are indeed real, which is what my friend suspected, so that's pretty cool that we agree there. Yeah, so don't fall into a trap of thinking just because something is legal tender that a shop must accept it. I mean, you can refuse to sell someone anything in a shop. You don't need to even give a reason. Doesn't matter what they're paying with. If the shop is willing to accept these kind of things as payment, then that's fine. I mean, as long as both parties agree, you can pay with these coins. If you're settling a debt, however, the person you're paying can't really refuse to accept them. And if they do, then they have no right to go after you for non-payment because you've already offered to pay in legal tender and they refused. So I'll put those ones aside just so I don't get muddled up with my ones. And yeah, so these are legal tender though, only up to a maximum of £10. So what that means is, if you're setting a large debt, you can only use up to 40 of these to pay towards it, and the remaining balance has to be paid with something else, such as pound coins or banknotes, which have no limit at all. So, funny thing is, some people try to push the boundaries of their rights by trying to pay for fuel at petrol stations with unusual legal tender coins. There's various videos on YouTube where people... Here's the fake one again. It's funny. Where's the other good fake one? No, not that one. I think this is the good fake one where it's the wrong way around. So that face is that way up, and then that one's sideways. Yeah, so people have done YouTube videos where they rock up to petrol stations and try and pay for their petrol with 25p or £5 crowns. Although rather than using these silver ones, they usually use ones which are made of cupronickel because they're obviously much cheaper. But either way, they've got to be using real coins like these. Yeah, so, and some people even try and pay with silver coins, but usually then it's the £20, £50 or £100 silver commemorative coins, which are also legal tender, even though most people wouldn't know what they were if they saw one. But the interesting thing is the petrol station scenario is somewhat distinct from a normal shopping experience in that when you want to pay with cash at a petrol station, they usually let you put the fuel in your car first, and then they require payment afterwards. So that technically puts you in debt to the petrol station because you owe them money for the fuel you've taken, and you cannot practically reverse that transaction because it's already in your petrol tank. You can't give it back. So because of that, as I understand it, they're therefore obliged to accept any form of payment in any form of legal tender as payment, including crowns like these, if you're silly, and those £100 silver coins, which you can often buy on eBay for less than £100, which I suspect is why people do that sort of thing. The only exception, as far as I can tell, is if they make it very clear beforehand that they don't accept certain coins as payment. Anyway, I mean, you'd be pretty daft to try and use crowns like these to pay for petrol, because each one of these would only get you 25p worth of petrol, and even though they contain about, I think at the current moment, about 16 or 17 pounds worth of silver in these, but they're probably worth more like 20 to 30 quid, depending on how old they are, what the condition is, and how rare they are. So if for example, that was a genuine Gothic Crown here, we would be nearing retirement. Right, so there we go then. So to summarise, I think we've concluded that 7 of these sterling silver crowns are definitely genuine, and then all of these ones are definitely fake. There we go.